All right, Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Brakatham. My sisters, Yahweh Shemal Ayathan, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. This is the Thursday class. I'm Priest Officer Qam Gawan. This is the I.S.U.P.K. under commanding GEN.YAHANNA. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We've been bringing out this truth since 1969. We teach that blacks, Latinos, First Nation man and woman are the biblical ethnic Jews that the Bible speaks of. And that the so-called oppressor, the devil that the Bible speaks of, the so-called white man, is the oppressor. And again, we're going to talk a little bit about some Israel news, and Israel news meaning Black, Hispanic, and First Nation news is what we always talk about concerning our people. Apologize for last week. The Smithfield Street Library was closed last week, so we couldn't be live here in a class. We did shoot the class regardless, so the class is up for last week. So today, we're going to talk about, again, Israel news. We're going to talk a little bit about Kanye, some more about Kanye West. We're going to talk about interracial marriage and whoredom, all right? And about some, this holiday, this time of year, this season with these holidays and whatnot. We're going to talk a little bit about that, spiritual wickedness, all right? So first, before we get into the scriptures, there's all over the news, they're talking about Kanye West and Kim Kardashian and what's going on with them. So I'm gonna read a little bit about that. This is actually an article from TMZ. TMZ is a little bit funny as far as their credibility, but I'm gonna read it from here anyway. So it says, it's titled, Kim and Kanye, divorce settled. Kim gets $200K a month in child support. All right, so let's read about it first. It says, Kanye West and Kim Kardashian's divorce settlement calls for them to have equal access to their kids. And that appears to be exactly what's happening, with Kanye picking up North, which is one of the names of the kids, North, from school Tuesday and taking her to a mall. As you can see, Kanye was waiting outside North's school Tuesday evening, with daddy and daughter leaving together in an SUV. All right. It says, a short while later, Kanye and North rode up to a mall, entering the shopping center through a Macy's. Remember, Kim and Kanye's divorce also calls for them to split expenses for their kids' education and security. And Kanye has security in tow in both North's school and the mall. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West have settled their divorce, TMZ has learned. The former husband and wife have resolved both child custody and property-related issues. According to the settlement, Kim and Kanye will get joint custody with equal access to their 4 children. Although the docs say equal access, sources with direct knowledge tell us Kim will have the kids the lion's share of the time. Even Kanye has acknowledged Kim already has the kids 80% of the time. According to the settlement, Kanye will pay Kim $200,000 a month in child support. Our sources say Kanye is not footing the full bill for child support. That's just his share. In addition, he's responsible for 50% of their kids' educational expenses, including tuition. He's also responsible for 50% of their children's security expenses. Now, this is interesting. If there's ever a dispute regarding the children, Kim and Kanye agree they will participate in mediation. If one of them fails to participate, the other gets to make the decision and dispute by default. Not hard to read between the lines. As for the $200K, it's due the first day of each month and must be wired into her account. As for the property, the division of assets is in accordance with their prenup. And according to their prenup, both Kim and Kanye have waived spousal support. All right. Okay, that's pretty much enough for that. So, all right. So this is heavy concerning, our people. But why? Because first of all, Kanye West is an Israelite, right? We know that Kanye West came out recently and is professing that blacks and Hispanics are the real Jews that the Bible speaks about. He's been under fire, from the so-called Jewish, people or the media, and been scrutinized for what he's been saying. So this is our brother, okay? This is our brother. So this is a heavy topic because the big issue here is that not only is he, being screwed over, you know what I mean? Like most men will get screwed over by the justice system, but Kanye was married to a heathen. Now, in all honesty, it's probably a very good thing that he's not married to this heathen, right now, currently. Now, this is not to say that, let's say you're a brother, you're in the world, right? And you made the foolish mistake of, marrying a heathen wife. Brothers have done this. So if this is the situation happened to you, biblically speaking, as far as the law is concerned, you are not allowed to put away your wife, okay? Regardless if they're heathen or not. But now in this situation, I believe that Kim Kardashian left him. So if she wants to leave, if she wants to go whore and mess around with different men, which is what she did, and we'll bring up some of that as well. That again, now that's his ex-wife, and that's not his wife anymore. So whoever she's sleeping around with, whoever she left him to be with, which is many men, her latest guy is her new husband. All right. So, and to my knowledge, she left him, and so he's not the one that committed the sin. As far as putting his wife away, which is I'm pretty sure, I believe that's what the case is. So. But Kanye West is our brother, right? So we're going to bring out some scriptures today about interracial marriage. We're going to talk about, whoredom, and again, we'll get into like, spiritual wickedness in this holiday season and what's going on with that. But again, first of all, so hitting on that Kanye West situation, $200,000 a month. Now, this woman is a known billionaire. She is a billionaire. She has just about as much money as he does. I don't really have to look up the exact numbers of what it is, but I'm almost certain Kim Kardashian is a billionaire just as well as Kanye West. And if what they say is correct about what's going on with Kanye West, as far as him, losing his endorsement deals and whatnot, and losing money because he was a billionaire at first, and there's rumors out there saying that he's only worth $600 million now and all this and that, which is still a lot of money. If that is true, it's still a very shady situation because, like I said, Kanye West is, or Kim Kardashian has just as much money as he does, and if she's a billionaire, she probably has more money now. So, the fact that he has to pay this woman $200,000 in child support, the fact that she left him, and is treating the man like how she treats him, just goes to show you that there's a reason why the Most High God does not want us to, date outside of our race and to indulge in interracial marriages. Because this woman here, she's been known to be get around the block and around the block and around the block and down the street and around the block again. She's one of those type of women. She's just one of those type of women. She never stops. She hunts down brothers. You know what I mean? She uses brothers for their talent, and she's basically become famous off of messing with brothers. I mean, one of the first things that happened with the woman was a long time ago. I remember she came out with the tape with Ray J. You know what I'm saying? They put the tape out and it blew her up. You know what I mean? And then since then she's been going nonstop. She's been in many different beds with many different men. So this woman is just a whore. She's just a whore. And that's just, pretty much what I want to hit on today. And if you're a brother in the world, to mess with a whore is one thing, but definitely dating a whorish woman that's not of your nation is a whole nother situation. Again, anyone who's not of the nation of Israel is a heathen nation. They can't be under the covenants. They are not chosen by the Most High God, and they are not our people. And the Lord gave us strict rules about, dealing with our own people and dealing with outside of our people and what it's done to us in the history from doing it. And we're going to read a little bit about that too, some of these scriptures. So again, Kanye West is going through it as our brother. He made a bad decision with, the woman he chose to be with, but obviously that's over with now. He's paying the woman $200,000 a month, who's a woman who already has $1 billion. So, this is what the type of things that happen when you don't obey the law, statutes, and commands of the Most High God. Now, again, Kanye West is in the world, so we don't expect him to know what we know here in the I.S.U.P.K and the command of GEN.YAHANNA. But nevertheless, when you don't keep the law, statutes, and commands, this is what happens. And like again, we're going to pull the scriptures out. So let's jump into that. Let me start pulling my scriptures here. So first scripture we're going to pull, we're going to go to Genesis 24. Let's go to Genesis 24, verses 2 and 4. 2 through 4. Okay, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 24, verse 2. All right, it says, "And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house, that ruled over all that he had, Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh." Verse 3, "And I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell." Verse 4, "But thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac." Okay, so for those you don't know, Abraham is the father of the Hebrew Israelite nation. He's the father of Isaac, who was the father of Jacob, who gave birth to the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. All right, so now this Abraham is saying to the servant of his house, basically go seek out a wife for my son, but make sure that it's a woman of his kindred. He sent them to the land where he was from to get a woman of his own people. Now this is heavy because Abraham is obviously, he understands that, dealing with a woman outside of your race or someone outside of your race is detrimental to your people. All right, so that's why he said, "Put your hand underneath my thigh." Promise me, make sure you're going to do this. You understand? And make sure my son takes a woman of his own kindred. All right, now this is heavy because this is our forefathers. You understand? And what our forefathers did is what we're supposed to be doing. We have to look back at who we were prior to coming into the captivities that we suffer today, who we were prior to, that American or so-called oppression by the devil today, and coming into this kingdom. Who were we prior to that? You understand? Who were we? You know what I'm saying? And we go back to our history, and that's what this Bible is, the book of Genesis, chapter 24, verse 2 and verse 4. And it says, "And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house, that ruled over all that he had, Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites." Now, who is the daughters of the Canaanites? Okay, so first of all, the women of the Canaanites. Who are the Canaanites? The Canaanites is a tribe of Africans. I believe they're South Africans, all right? So understand that not only is the oppressor, the devil that the Bible speaks about, off limits, but so is, the women from other, nations, which is the African, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Arabs, and whatnot. But this specifically here is talking about a tribe of so-called Hamites, which is the Canaanites. They're stock of the, so-called African people. So Abraham said, no, don't get a wife of the seed of the Hamite, you know what I mean, or the Canaanites. Don't get a wife from them people. Get it from your own nation. Who is our own nation? The Israelite nation, okay, of the seed of Shem, okay. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's saying, okay? Get a woman from your own people. So this is Abraham. This goes all the way back until near the beginning. That's why I want to pull this because, even though we're here today in America, and it's 2022, almost 23, and this is, thousands and thousands of years ago, this is a script that we need to stick to. We need to go back and need to see, who we were prior to what we're doing today. All right, so in the book of Genesis, chapter 24, verse 2 and verse 4, Abraham is saying that, get a wife from your own people, all right? Don't take a wife from the people that in the land that you reside in. Like, so today, blacks and Hispanics, wherever you might reside, like right today, we're here in Pittsburgh, and, of course, there's heathens around about this land, this area. If you're in Philadelphia, New York, you're in the UK, Asia, wherever you're at, even if you're in, in the continent of Africa. If you're an Israelite, which is the Israelites are scattered all over the earth, like the book of James 1:1 says, to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. So it lets you know that the Israelites are scattered everywhere. But it's saying, no matter where you're at, do not intermingle with these people. Do not take on their daughters and vice versa. Don't take on if you're a woman, you don't take on their sons. Deal with our own people. That's what this is clearly saying. And this is coming from Abraham, all right? The father of the Hebrew Israelite nation. All right, so let's go to the next scripture. Let's get Deuteronomy 7 and 6. And again, if you're a brother or your sister and you're in the world and you already made this mistake of dealing with somebody outside of your, of your nation, you know what I mean? You made that decision and you have to live with it. You have to, suffer that burden. And you can't put that person away just because you found out the truth. You understand? Now, if that woman or that man or that other nation decides to up and leave you then that's on them. They leave you, and then you consider it, you know what I mean, that you didn't dodge a major bullet. But as far as the law is concerned, you cannot put away your wife if you're a man. And if you're a woman, you definitely can't leave your husband. Okay, that's your husband. And if you're a man, that's your wife. No matter if it's a heathen or not. But again, it is against the law for you to date outside of your race, to indulge in interracial dating. So if you've never done this and you're hearing this, understand now that this is not what you're supposed to do. Don't ever make that mistake of dealing with someone outside of your race. All right. So let's go to Deuteronomy 7 and 6. It says in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth." Okay, this is speaking to, for thou art, the thou is the children of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, First Nation, man or woman. For we are a holy people. Holy, as we know, means separate. We are to be separate from everybody else, okay? Although these heathens may live in the same neighborhoods, they may go to the same schools as you, they may be in the same employment as you, we're still to be a holy, separate nation. We're to separate from these people, all right? Unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people. So the Lord chose blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to be a special people above all other people, okay? And that's racism in the Bible. If you don't know black man and black woman, the Lord has a separate people. He favors a certain people, and that is you. That's us, all right? So for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So when you get into interracial dating, what you don't understand is you have gotten yourself with someone who is lower than you. These people are not on your level. You know, the Lord said that we are a special people, a separate holy nation, and we're to deal with each other and not deal outside of our nation. It's one thing to do business with someone, or you have a business, or things on that type of level there. But to be intimately, into a situation with somebody, that has to be from your own people. You can't be in an intimate situation with somebody from another nation. All right, so the Lord chose us to be a separate people, a holy people, separate from other people, and to be above these people. So when you get with somebody who's not of your own nation, you're putting somebody who's supposed to be under you equal with you. And you don't want to do that as a black, Hispanic, or First Nation man or woman. I'll read that again, Deuteronomy 7 and 6. "For thou art a holy people, Salaki, unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth." Okay, so black man and black woman, Hispanic man, Hispanic woman, the Lord chose you to be a special people, not to make a heathen equal with you by getting into a relationship with them. And that's a terrible situation there. And you'll see as we keep on reading the type of things that happen when you do this. Like, it's a wicked thing. The Lord hates it. And if you didn't know, the Lord brought the flood because of it. Because back in the time of Noah, there was a lot of interracial dating going on in the earth, and the Lord was disgusted with it. So he brought the flood for that matter. So this is a very serious thing in the nation of Israel. We cannot integrate with these people. Let's go to Proverbs 23 and 27. Okay. All right. Let's switch a little. Let's divert just a little bit. The book of Proverbs, chapter 23 and verse 27. And remember, we started out with this conversation about Kanye West and about how his heathen wife left him, and now they have a divorce settlement. She's getting $200K a year, and this is what happens when you deal with somebody outside of your nation. So it says in Proverbs 23 and 27, it says, "For a whore is a deep ditch, and a strange woman is a narrow pit." I'll read that again. "For a whore is a deep ditch, and a strange woman is a narrow pit." So what's a whore? It depends on the context, but a whore typically is usually, a woman who deals with someone outside of her husband. Okay, once she goes and has sex with another man, she's considered a whore. You can also whore spiritually when you whore against the Most High God. We are the nation of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, First Nation man and woman, and when we go to serve other gods or get, or so-called spiritually get in bed with other nations or other so-called gods, we have whored against the Most High God. But this is talking about a woman who is a whore. It says a whore is a deep ditch. Imagine a deep ditch, and you're just down in this ditch. And what is specific about this deep ditch? It's very hard to what? Get out of it. So a whore will have you in situations that you'll be hard to get out of. Many situations, financial, spiritual, physical situations. You know what I mean? This is what this whore will do to you. And a strange woman is a narrow pit. What's a strange woman? A strange woman is someone who doesn't serve the Most High God, but it also could be a woman of another nation. That's a strange woman, okay? So a woman outside of your nation is a deep ditch, and she's a strange woman, is a narrow pit, okay? Nobody wants to be in a deep ditch, and nobody wants to be in a narrow pit, okay? So laying down with these women, get into situations with these women, or if you're a sister and you get into a situation with an oppressor, it's going to be a deep ditch. It's going to be a very serious situation. You're gonna do things like what? Okay, so we know that in the nation of Israel, we don't celebrate holidays and whatnot. We don't eat pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster. Now, imagine telling that to some heathen man or heathen woman. You know they're all about all the pork, crab, and pork, shrimp, crab, lobster. You ain't telling no heathen they ain't celebrating Christmas or Thanksgiving or birthdays or whatever else American holiday they got going on. You're not telling no strange woman that. You're not telling no oppressor that. So get into a situation with them, that's going to have you in a deep ditch. Why? Because you're going to be in a household with a heathen woman who's going to want to put up a Christmas tree. You're going to be in a household with a heathen woman who wants to cook, ham and celebrate Thanksgiving and say it's all about the kids. If you got children with her, if you're a man and you're in a situation, if you're a woman in a situation with a heathen man, you know what I mean? Same thing. He's going to want to celebrate birthdays. He's going to want to, he's going to want to eat pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster. He's going to want you to do it too. And this is going to do what? Ultimately put you in a situation with your God. Because if you're an Israelite man or woman, you can't partake in these type of things. And it's going to bring destruction upon you. And that's something that happened in the scripture actually with King Solomon. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But again, for a whore is a deep ditch and a strange woman is a narrow pit. So if you're of the nation of Israel, if you're a black man, black woman, Hispanic man, Hispanic woman, First Nation man or woman, we cannot deal with somebody outside of our race. And especially not a strange woman of another nation or a strange man of another nation. You understand that? Because it would be a pit to you, a deep ditch, and would have you in some serious what. So that's something that we cannot do if we're serving the Most High God. All right, so let's go to the next scripture. Let's go to 1 Ezra chapter 8 and verse 84. Okay, this is the book of Ezra, 1 Ezra chapter 8 and verse 84. We're going to go down to 85. It says, therefore, now shall ye not join your daughters unto their sons, neither shall you take their daughters unto your sons. Verse 85, moreover, ye shall never seek to have peace with them, that ye may be strong and eat the good things of the land, and that ye may leave the inheritance of the land unto your children forevermore. Okay, so this is saying to the children of Israel, again, do not join your daughters unto their sons. So if you're a black woman, Hispanic woman, you know what I mean, and you're a father or you're father of a black woman or a Hispanic woman, you do not want your daughters to lay down with a heathen and to make children with a heathen, all right? That'd be detrimental to you because guess what? Those children, if that's a so-called oppressor or an African or a Chinese man or an Arab man, that child is exactly what the father is, okay? So now your children are heathens. And of course, we wouldn't tell you not to love your children, but your children are not under the covenant. They are not of the children of Israel. You are, but not your children. So now your children are heathens, okay? And they are not the chosen people of the Most High God. And that's a horrible thing. That's a horrible thing. Therefore, now shall ye not join your daughters unto their sons, neither shall you take their daughters unto your sons. Moreover, ye shall never seek to have peace with them, that ye may be strong. What does it mean to have? What does it mean seeking their peace, right? Seeking their peace. Talking about the oppressor, like that's what the Bible speaks about, or other nations. Seeking their peace is like conforming to their ways. If you're a brother in the world, you go what? Go get shape ups. Go get your hair cut down and get a shape up, and be a clean shaven face like the oppressor would want you to be. You don't wear your Israelite. You don't wear your attire like a so-called black Hispanic man should. But you want to throw on a suit and look like the so-called oppressor. You know what I mean? You want to look like him in your places of business. You want to talk and act like them. You want to take on, instead of being, looking at your history as an Israelite in your land, Israel, Jerusalem, you want to be, like the Italians and take on the mafia, you know what I mean? The mafia image. You want to call yourself Gotti and Sammy the Bull, you know what I mean? And, we got a lot of brothers in the world as rappers, and they be taking on these type of, names and whatnot. But conforming to them, you know what I mean? Trying to be like them, seeking their peace is trying to be like them, all right? It says that ye may be strong, okay? When you seek their peace, it's not going to make you strong. When you try to be like the oppressor or like another heathen nation, you're not going to be strong. And when you integrate or intermingle with them, you're not going to be strong as well, all right? It's going to make your offspring weak. That ye may be strong and eat the good things of the land, and that ye may leave the inheritance of the land unto your children forevermore. That's heavy, because what happens? It's lucky if you get with somebody of another nation and you got some type of inheritance, your inheritance is going to do what? Go to that people. It won't go to your own people, to your own children. You know what I mean? That's why this is heavy. So you're going to lose your inheritance. You may lose your children. You know what I mean? You may give children to birth children by a heathen, and then your children, are heathens. Now, if you're a man, if you're a so-called black or Hispanic man, and you get into a situation with a heathen woman, and again, we don't promote that here in the I.S.U.P.K, but if you've done this in the world and you have a child with somebody that's a heathen, then your children technically still are Israelites, because the seed comes from the man. So you are still an Israelite. Now, like, again, we don't promote that here. We don't, you get with your own people, you stay with your people. But if you've done this and you didn't know that prior to this, if you're a man and you have a child with a heathen woman, those children still are Israelites. Now, if you're a woman, it's not the same. If you're a sister and you have a child with somebody of a heathen nation, those children are whatever that heathen is. So if you're a sister and you have a child with an African, your children are Africans. If you're a sister and you have a child with a so-called oppressor, your children are, of the oppressor. Same thing in Chinese, Japanese. That's what your children would be. All right. Let's go to Proverbs 5:18. All right, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 5, verse 18. It says, let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. I'll read that again. Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. So your fountain is what comes from you, what your children come from you, right? Let your fountain be blessed, okay? The rejoice, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. So if you're a black man, what would be the wife of your youth? First of all, what does wife mean? Woman, all right? Understand that the word wife just means woman. So it says, the wife of thy youth. Now think about your youth. Where do you come from, black man? You come from them projects, right? You come from them ghettos. Hispanic man, you come from the barrios, right? You come from that government cheese, you know what I mean? Pork and beans and wieners, right? Now let me ask you a question. As a so-called oppressor, a Chinese, a Japanese, an Arab, did the women from those nations come from what you come from? Most likely they don't. You might get it every now and then. You may get a Chinese woman or a Japanese or a oppressor, you know what I mean? And what they might come from, lived in the ghetto and whatnot. But typically, it's most likely your people. When I'm talking about blacks, Hispanics, First Nation man and woman. So when it says, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth, it's talking about a black woman, black man. That sister that went through the same things that you went through. That oppression that you went through, that sister went through. You understand? Brothers, you got your mother is a sister, you know what I'm saying, to somebody. She's an Israelite woman. She's a black woman or a Hispanic woman. You know what it was like for her growing up. You know the type of things that she experienced. If you're a brother, a lot of us grew up in homes where a single parent mother, your mother dated, different men and, could never find that love that she was looking for. All she ever wanted to do was, get that situation where she's, so-called happy, you know what I mean? Which is a lot of women, they their definition of happiness is not what we, teach here, but, you want to see your mother in a good situation. You want her to be, taken care of, as far as, having a good male role model in the family to look after her and to do things for her. You know what I mean? I know me personally, I always wanted to see my mother in a good situation. So why grow up, black man? Why grow up and deny that you wanted to see your mother have? Why deny that to a sister that you watch grow up all your life, or another black woman or Hispanic woman, when you can give that to her instead of giving it to somebody of another nation? Give that to your sister. You owe that to, you know, to them sisters. Just like you wanted it for your mother, give it to them sisters that you grew up with, this in them ghettos and them barrios, just like you came up out of. That would be the honorable thing to do, and the thing that the Most High God would want you to do. All right. So again, Proverbs 5:18. Let that fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Rejoice with that black woman. Ain't nobody say it was going to be easy. We know our sisters got that, you know, we got that pterodactyl, you know, dragon, fire breathing dragon, you know, thing going on, you know what I'm saying? Because they've been destroyed by the world. They've been taught wrongly. They've been attacked just like we have been as black men and Hispanic men. So our sisters are going through it, you know what I'm saying? So we got to be strong enough as men. And this is something that this is not something that we can't do. As a black man, Hispanic man, you know what I mean? There's nothing that we can't do with, you know, with unity, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, within our nation and keeping the law, statutes, commands of the Most High God. There's nothing we can't do. We can fix our sisters. It may seem like we can't fix our sisters, but we can. We can fix them, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying all women are destroyed, but there's a lot of sisters that are destroyed that are in the world and, you know, doing, you know, the deeds that the so-called oppressor would want them to do. But there's nothing as black men that we can't do for our sisters, that we can't correct them and whatnot. So rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Get that black woman. Get that Hispanic woman, you know what I'm saying? If it might take some work, yeah, it might take some work, but it's worth it for your nation. It makes our nation strong. And by dating somebody outside of your nation, it will make you weak and your nation weak. So let's get the book of Joshua, chapter 23. And we're going to start at verse 11. Okay, so this is the book of Joshua, chapter 23, verse 11. Okay, this says, take good heed therefore unto yourselves, that ye love the Lord your God. Oh, Slocky, hold on. Okay, yeah. The book of Joshua, chapter 23, verse 12. Else, if you do in any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you. Verse 13. Know for certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from off this good land which the Lord your God had given you. So remember, when the Israelites were coming out of Egypt, they were going to inhabit the Holy Land, you understand? And Joshua was the man that was going to, you know, get them in that situation. You know, this is after Moses. So he's saying, if you decide to go back, you know what I mean, spiritually, or go back, you know what I mean, to the ways of Egypt, which we came out of, and you decide to lay down with those women, you black men, lay down with those women, or you black women, lay down with those heathen men, okay? You decide to make marriages with them. We know what marriage is sex, right? Sex is marriage according to the Bible. It says, and they go in, and you go into them, and they into you. Know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you. So he's not going to drive these people away from you. And what happens when he doesn't do that? But they shall be snares and traps unto you. What does it mean to be a snare and a trap? Okay, just think about a snare is a trap. Okay, a snare is a trap. All right. So just imagine having, like, you know, your hands, you know, in shackles or whatever. So having these heathen nations among you will be a snare and a trap. Why? Because they're going to have you, you know, put you in situations where you're going to be disobedient to the Most High God. They're going to put you in situations that's going to, you know, test you, and you might fail the test, and, you know, and make God angry, make the Most High God angry. All right. But they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes. Imagine a thorn in your eye. You'd be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Just imagine in constant pain and constant agony. That's what these heathen nations will be. And this is exactly what happened too if you're living with one in your house. Because this is, if you're an Israelite, you're a black man and black woman, and you start knowing the truth, or you understand the truth, and then you're living with a heathen, and then they start doing all these damn heathen practices and things that, you know, will, you know, piss you off, you know what I mean, and make you, you know, have you understand that it's against the Most High God. It's going to be a thorn in your side, a thorn in your eye, until you perish from off this good land which the Lord your God has given you. So they're going to be snares and traps for you. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be, you know, bringing that pork into the atmosphere, that crab, that shrimp, that lobster. They're going to want to celebrate birthdays. They're going to want to celebrate Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving. They're going to want to do everything that the Most High God don't want you to do. And that's the problem. Okay, that's the situation here. So again, interracial marriage is a sin before the Most High God, and we are not to partake in that. Let's go to 1 Ezra 9:7. And again, we're bringing out scripture. Now remember, going back to Kanye West, when it said there'll be snares and traps to you, look what happened to him. Look what happened to him. He got into a relationship with a heathen woman, and now he has to pay $200,000 a year to her, even though she's a billionaire already. That's a damn trap. She was a trap. And not only that, she didn't have what, Pete Davidson. I heard she'd been in a relationship with The Game, Vaughn, Taylor, who else? I mean, so many other men this woman has been with, and she just continues to just keep running through them, you know what I mean? So that woman's a trap, she's a snare, and that's what it's talking about. If you're a black man, a black woman, don't date outside your race. Let's go to 1 Ezra 9:7. Okay, so it says, in the book of 1 Ezra, chapter 9, verse 7. So Ezra arose up and said unto them, always them is the blacks, Hispanics, First Nation man and woman, ye have transgressed the law in marrying strange wives, thereby to increase the sins of Israel. Hear that again. 1 Ezra 9:7. So Ezra rose up and said unto them, ye have transgressed the law in marrying strange wives, thereby to increase the sins of Israel. So when you marry a strange woman, which is of another nation, and you're a black man or Hispanic man, you will increase the sins of Israel, right? Because now you just made these people a part of you. And they're what? Sinners before the Most High God. And now they're going to be conducting and doing sin right amongst you, right with you. And then they're going to have you involved in this, and and the Most High God is going to be upset with you. And we are going to be the ones who are going to be punished. You're going to be punished. Okay? So again, integration is a very terrible, detrimental thing. And it's against the Most High God is against it. All right, let's go to the next scripture. All right, let's get 1 Kings 11:1. Okay, this is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 11, verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Okay, so King Solomon, we know King Solomon is the son of King David. King David, one of the, probably the greatest king over Israel. Solomon, his son, was even more blessed. You know what I'm saying? The Most High God loved King David so much that, you know, he gave him, a great son, King Solomon, and Solomon was like the richest, wisest king there was. All right, so, but King Solomon made a fatal mistake. He loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh. The daughter of Pharaoh will be an African. Women of the Moabites, which would be so-called Chinese. Ammonites would be so-called Japanese. Edomites, which is so-called oppressor. The devil, the Bible speaks about his daughters. The Zidonians, which is another tribe of the Africans, and the Hittites. Verse 2, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, First Nation man and woman, ye shall not go in unto them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. So, notice what the Most High God says there. He didn't say nothing about their skin complexion. He didn't say nothing about that. He said that they will have you and will turn your heart away after their gods. And what is your heart talking about here? Your mind. You know, understand that the scriptures, depending on the context, can be talking about your mind. So they will turn away your mind, you know, to their gods. You know what I mean? These other nations had different gods. I think one of the Canaanite gods is like Molech, or Chemosh is like one of the Ammonite gods or something like that. There's all these different fake gods, but they're gods of these people. And Solomon did some wickedness. And we're going to read what he did. Verse 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. So he had all these women of these other nations, okay? So, for it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Moabites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord as David his father. Verse 7, then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. In verse 9, and the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Okay, so we'll stop it there. So King Solomon had all these strange wives, right? These kings, popular, you know what I'm saying? Strong brother, you know what I'm saying? He can have things his way, you know what I mean? But he did a terrible error. He started, having relationships with people outside of his race, women outside of his race. And then it ultimately ended up in, you know what I mean, the Lord taking the kingdom from him. And this is pretty much the start of the beginning of the end for us. You understand? Because this is our history, black man, Hispanic man, First Nation man, and woman. You understand? This happened to King Solomon, and this affected us even to this day. So, and the lesson learned here is that, you know what I mean, even somebody as strong as King Solomon, you know what I mean, who had all the riches and, everything going for him, he allowed, women to bring him down. A woman from another race, strange women is what the scriptures call them. So if you're a black man, a Hispanic man, you know what I mean, you understand that, if these women can get King Solomon to, go after their gods, this is a very, terrible situation for you. You don't even want to try this. You don't want to get into a situation to where these women can have you, sinning against the Most High God, and it'd be a fatal error for you. All right, let's go to Judges 3, verse 6 and 7. Judges 3, verse 6 and 7. Okay, and it says, and they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and forgot the Lord their God, and served Balaam in the groves. Okay, so in this situation here, the children of Israel did what the Lord said not to do, took on, the daughters of men, and the women did the same thing. So, and they did evil in the sight of the Lord, and they forgot their God and served Baal. Balaam is like the practice of serving Baal, which just means Lord. So they served the gods of other people, okay? And that became a snare and a trap for them. Just like Kanye West is in a snare and a trap from dealing with Kim Kardashian, and just like many other brothers in the world are in snares and traps, going to the child support court, being locked up in jail for years, for being one payment late. I mean, this is a terrible situation. So that's what to learn, that's what the situation you need to get from this is don't deal with anyone outside of your race. You know what I'm saying? The Lord, is against it. And again, it'll have you disobeying the law, statutes, and commands, and it'll be a terrible, terrible mistake for you. And you will pay for it. You will pay for it. So let's get Tobit 4 and 12. Okay, it's the book of Tobit, chapter 4, verse 12. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe. For we are the children of the prophets, no, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land. You hear that? This is a heavy scripture. It's the book of Tobit, chapter 4, verse 12, and read it again. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers. Get you a black man, Hispanic woman, you know what I'm saying? And you got, not only do you have just, if you're a black man, a so-called black man, a so-called African-American man here in America, which is, just a byword or a tag for you, but you don't have, you got Latino women available to you. You know what I'm saying? You got the Hispanic sisters, you know what I'm saying? So you got options, you know what I'm saying? You don't got to go get you an oppressor's daughter, you know what I'm saying? Or a Chinese or Japanese woman or an African. Yeah, you definitely want no damn stinking African. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman. Don't get you an oppressor's daughter. Don't get you a Moabite, an Ammonite. Don't get you an African woman, which is not of thy father's tribe. For we are the children of prophets. You know what I'm saying? We are a great people. We come from Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. We're in the same lineage of Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? Why would we go and get somebody who is less than what we are? we have the best. Our sisters are the best. You understand? Our black women, our Hispanic women, they're the best. So get you something of your own people. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred. This is what your ancestors did. They took women of their own kindred. And that's what we're to do. We're to be like our ancestors. And we're blessed in their children. And their seed shall inherit the land. All right. Okay. Let's get Deuteronomy 7:3. I want to maybe jump off of this. Okay. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. Okay, now this is pretty much what we've been already reading, but again, dating outside your race will anger the Lord, and it ultimately will destroy you. Okay, like it destroyed Solomon, like it's destroying Kanye West and many other brothers in America and all over the world going through these wicked court systems. So interracial marriage will destroy you. All right, so let's jump into something else. I want to get something before we get up out of here. I want to get let's start at the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. Okay, let's get the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. It says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and against powers and against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay? Spiritual wickedness. We wrestle against not flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. Okay? So the so-called oppressor, he has power. All right? And the so-called oppressor is the ruler of the dark, the rulers of the darkness of this world. Okay? And he performs the spiritual wickedness, okay, in high places. You got your so-called Christian church. That's spiritual wickedness. You understand? We got brothers of our own nation out here teaching the children of Israel to deliberately disobey the Most High God, saying that it's okay, to eat pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster, that the laws are done away with, that, that it's okay to accept homosexuality into the church. I mean, T.D. Jakes even said that. But this is spiritual wickedness, okay? So it says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of the world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay, now what type of other spiritual wickedness is going on? You got the so-called holiday season, right? And this season, you know what I mean? Brothers and sisters go through it if you're in the truth, or you know better. You know about what the I.S.U.P.K and the Commanding GEN.YAHANNA teaches. And again, it's the only legit organization that's legit to teach the Bible. Okay. Again, I know there's a lot of other fake Israelite groups out there, and certainly they got Christian churches and Muslim mosques, but the I.S.U.P.K and the Commanding GEN.YAHANNA is the answer. But yeah, these holiday seasons, we just came off of what's so-called Thanksgiving, right? Which is, the celebration of the murder of the natives, of the children of Israel. You got Christmas coming up, right? Which is another wicked thing, and you gotta understand, especially like the so-called sisters of our nation that's in the world that during these times. I mean, these sisters get this crazy spirit on them that it's just a wicked spirit that, it just in the home, it's just a wicked spirit, a wicked entity, spiritual wickedness. Brothers is going, if you're a brother in the world, you paying attention to the truth, you're going through it, trying to, get your rib, to do the right thing and not celebrate these stupid, stinking holidays, and they just don't want to hear it. You got family members that, they come around and want to question you and interrogate you about, your shield that you rock and, that the classes you've been watching and that you don't celebrate these things anymore. And it's just a very terrible time. So what you got to do is you got to stand tall during this. You got to stand tall. You got to stand firm in this truth. You understand? You got to let them know that, that the Most High God is against these things, okay? Of course, we're going to bring up some stuff about that. But the Most High God is against these holidays and the spiritual wickedness in high places, you understand? This so-called holiday season. And you got to, black man, you got to be strong. You got to stand up against it. You can't fold under pressure, because this is what, this is what's going to happen. Christ had to suffer this test, this torture, you know what I'm saying? And he passed the test. So there's no reason why we can't do it. We can't use, any weakness or any infirmities as an excuse. Christ did it, so we can do it. All right. Let's get First of all, in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, and start at verse 1, is where the real high holy days that we are to observe as Israelites, okay? If you didn't know, blacks, Hispanics, First Nation, man and woman are Israelites, okay? So in the book of Leviticus is where you'll find your real high holy days. These so-called American holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween, birthdays, 4th of July, New Year's, whatever else, National Popcorn Day, whatever else they want to make up. These are pagan days. These are days that the Most High God does not recognize and it does not approve of, okay? And as an Israelite, we cannot partake in them. All right, so let's get Jeremiah 10 and 1, one of my favorite scriptures, which I pretty much bring out about every week. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1. And it says, "Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen," okay? "And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them." So speaking to the children of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, First Nation, man and woman, learn not the way of the heathen, which is the ways of the heathen. Like I always say, Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving, New Year's, birthday, okay? 4th of July. These are the ways of the heathen, okay? We are to learn not those ways. As Israelites, we cannot partake in the things that these heathen nations partake in, all right? That's what the Lord says clearly in Jeremiah 10 and 1. Let's get a few more. Let's get Isaiah chapter 1, verse 14. Okay, it says in the book of Isaiah chapter 1, verse 14, "Your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hateth. They are trouble unto me, and I am weary to bear them." So it says your new moons and your appointed feasts. What's your appointed feasts? Days that you have these elaborate meals, right? But it's appointed by someone, right? Appointed by who? It's not appointed by the Lord, but it's appointed by who? The so-called oppressor, the devil that the Bible speaks about. Him and his people. He says, "These appointed feasts my soul hateth. They are trouble unto me, and I am weary to bear them." Verse 15, "And when ye spread forth your hands," talking to the children of Israel, if you're celebrating these appointed feasts, and appointed feasts is like the meals you have on Christmas, Thanksgiving, on your birthday, Halloween, because they're what? You're all eating something. You're having feasts. "And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you." So when all these calamities come upon you and you're going through all these troubles and trials and tribulations, when you spread forth your hands to the Lord, he's going to hide his eyes from you. Yeah, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. So you're eating things sacrificing to idols. That's what most of these heathen nations would do when they would have these meals. They would sacrifice them to idols. So you are the children of Israel. You're celebrating these holidays. That's what you're doing. You're eating meals sacrificed to idols. So when you go to call on the Lord, he's not going to hear that. So when you're transatlantic slave trade, you're going through the court system and you're about to go to jail because you owe child support. You understand? The Lord's not going to hear that. Because why? Because you disobeyed the law, statutes, and commands. You celebrated Christmas. You celebrated Halloween. You celebrated Thanksgiving, Easter. You know what I mean? You're still smoking weed. You know what I mean? Eating pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster. The Lord's going to hide his eyes from you. And what happens when he does that? We are going to be in trouble. Okay? We are going to be in trouble. And that's what you're seeing now. All right? So let's get one last one. Let's get 2nd Ezra 1 and 31. It says in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 1, verse 31, "When you offer unto me, I will turn my face from you. For your solemn feast days, your new moons, and your circumcisions have I forsaken." Verse 32, "I sent unto you my servants the prophets, whom ye have taken and slain, and tore their bodies in pieces, whose blood I will require of your hands, saith the Lord." So the Lord is saying here, because you partake in these feast days, you disobey the law, statutes, commands, you want to continue to smoke weed, hate your brothers and your sisters, sell drugs, you know what I mean, and such and such and such and such, you know what I mean? He sent to us the prophets. The prophets are in the Bible. All these prophets in the Bible, they have come to warn the children of Israel to do the right thing. Just like the I.S.U.P.K and the Commander GEN.YAHANNA. The Commander GEN.YAHANNA has taught all the men below him to obey the law, statutes, commands of the Most High God. He follows Yahweh and to keep the law, statutes, commands. So because we don't want to do that, the Lord, you know what I mean, is requiring something of us, okay? We're being punished. We're being chastised. All right, so at the end of the day, interracial marriages is a sin, okay? According to the Most High God. Why? Because being in an interracial marriage, will turn your heart away from the Most High God. And we need our God. That's what we need. That's clear. That's one thing that we should be clear on is from our situation here in over 400 years in America. We need our God, okay? We need something, you understand? And then again, get online, pay your tithes, ISUPK.com, support this truth. We have classes here every Thursday from about 5 to 6:30 p.m. Street camps downtown, Liberty and Market on Fridays from about 1 to 5:30 p.m. Okay, again, the water for tune in is the I.S.U.P.K. under Commander Gen.YAHANNA, start at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Shalom, Israel.